Hi, good morning. Welcome to the sports review segment of Breakfast Daily. My name is Nathan Kwa. Let me say good morning to Frema and Kweku. How are we doing?
Good morning, Nathan.
We're
good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. Okay, let's begin. It was a very hectic weekend of sports. So let's start from some very intense boxing. Yes, and Isaac Dogbe, the Royal Storm, he fought in the US over the weekend. He had to come through 10 rounds of intense fighting with America's Gonzalez, and he won on the judges' cards. Now, the bout was an eliminator. It was a featherweight title eliminator. He also got himself a nice title on the side, but that was not the main thing. He wanted to get into contention to have another shot at being a two-time super bantamweight champion, and there you have it. He won on the judges' cards. Had Gonzalez, Judge Patrick Morley had Gonzalez 96-94, but the two other judges went the way of Isaac Dogbe. Now, for those who watched the bout really turned on its head in the 10th round. Before then, Isaac Dogbe was behind on the cards, but in that 10th round, before the 10th round, his coach was telling him that, see, this is where you have to do everything to win that bout. And in the 10th round, he managed to turn the cards in his favor, and he won. What does it mean? It means that he, out of nowhere, has gone into the line to become probably the next person to take on the champion. There are still a few issues about who he gets to fight, because Emmanuel Navarrete wants to leave the titles and fight in a new weight division. That may leave the belts vacant. But apart from that, Isaac Dogbe is happy. He's back into the big time, and very soon, hopefully, he should get another shot at being a super bantamweight champion. So he said after the bout, he said the Royal Storm is back, baby. We'll see. We'll see if he gets to win the title again. Let's stay in the United States, and that's where the World Athletics Championships are currently going on. It ended over the weekend, but over the weekend you had some very interesting relay action in the sprint relay, 4x100 men's and women. Let's start off with the 4x100 men's, and it was won by women. Sorry, it was won by the United States. When they were heading into the race, everybody thought the Jamaicans, because they had the experience. The Americans presented a very young, relatively inexperienced team, but they managed to stun the Jamaicans in the end, and they won the title there. They won in a time of 41.14 seconds, which is the 5th fastest time in history in terms of women's relay. So the American team, they ran very, very, very well there, especially the last leg, and the Jamaicans tried fighting back, but it just did not work for them. Now, sometime last week, I saw this interview that Shirley Ann Fraser-Price granted, and she said, to be honest, the Jamaican women's team, they never practice relays. And she thought it was going to be a bit of a problem. Well, it turned out to be a problem for them as they lost to the United States in the final.
Nathan, this relay matter. Look, I keep saying, it's, you see, so there's the individual ability to run fast. But when it comes to relays, there's that difference of maybe point something of a second to about 1 second. That is technique. Because over 400 meters, you are doing techniques. And if you do the right techniques, you can clear people who are much faster than you. You
talk about technique, and it takes me to the other main headline from the men's final. It was won by Canada. Now, the Canadians won not because they were the better team or they had the quicker runners, but because the U.S. team, that was the favorite, they were too slow in passing the baton round.
I think that's what the problem is.
If you work the mathematics and see the time difference, you could count it down to when they were slowly exchanging the baton. That was where the Canadians took advantage and won that race. The anchor leg was run by Andre DeGrasse. He's had to overcome a tough last 2 years. He got COVID, had an injury, but he managed to lead the Canadians to when they ran the time of 37.83 seconds. The US came second, Great Britain came third. Team Ghana were in that final. They finished 5th, but they set themselves a new national record of 38.07 seconds.
I think it was just a brilliant showing by our gentlemen.
And there you have the times there, the times on your screens there. The Canadians, US, Great Britain. The Jamaicans were in there as well, and Team Ghana set a new national record of 38.07 seconds.
I almost felt as though if Ghana had about 10 more meters to go, we could have caught up with the Jamaicans.
No, but for me, I think that, to be part of the top 5, in the world, it's a big deal.
Very
we know how preparations towards these kind of competitions are in our country. So for them to come this far, they did not bring any medal, but I think that they've really, written their names in the minds of people, and that's
so.
a big deal.
I
I think
think so.
they've really done well.
This crop, to be fair to this crop, they do practice their relays very, very well. They have a nice chemistry amongst the forerunners, so they'll have to keep working at it and see if they can break into the bigger parts of winning things. Really.
I have a comment about the ladies, though, the Americans. You see, you can present a fast field, right? But they are not well practiced.
Yes. Yeah,
and that's what happens to Jamaica.
Yes, and Shelley-Ann Fraser Price.
Yeah,
that.
A fast field that are not well
Don't
practiced.
practice.
Then you get people who are not as fast, but they are much better practiced and challenged.
I mean, with games like this, because it's not just one person doing it, you know, that transition is very important because that is what will bring you down.
It can make or break you. All right, let's move on. Let's do some football now. And in a very interesting preseason encounter between Arsenal and Chelsea played in Orlando, Florida. Arsenal, they put Chelsea to the sword. They thumped Chelsea 4-0 in that preseason game played.
Arsenal is back.
In the United States. Well, Arsenal is back. They say Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, and Albert Sambi-Lokonga, they scored for the Gunners as they were winning their game. Arsenal are unbeaten in preseason, 4 out of 4. They are beating everybody, and they added Chelsea to their list of preseason victims. Let's see what happens when the actual season begins on the 5th of August. Let's finally end with some women's football news, and it was glory time for South Africa as they won the 2022 edition of the Women's AFCON. This was the first time they were winning that tournament. They had been to the final about 4 times already, had lost the previous 4, but this time they managed to beat home country Morocco by 2-1. Hilda Magaya, she scored twice in the second half. The Moroccans tried fighting back, but it just wasn't enough as they ended up winning the biggest prize on the day. And they also won some of the awards there. Their goalkeeper, Hilda Magaya, was named goalkeeper of the competition, and Andile Glamini rather, sorry. She was goalkeeper of the competition. The best player went to the Moroccans. One of their Moroccan players ended up winning. Gislan Chebak, she won the best player of the competition. The South Africans won the Fair Play Award. So great times for South Africa. Their head coach Desiree Ellis on Thursday was awarded the Women's Coach of the Year in the CAF Awards, and then 3-4 days later she goes to win the AFCON for the very first time in her life. She had lost 3 times as a player, once as a coach, and then she manages to win finally. Wow. So it all comes together for those who keep knocking on the door. One day the door will be opened onto you. So South Africa are enjoying. It was fun watching them. They were just dancing and partying. It was fun stuff in Morocco as they won the Women's AFCON for the very first time on Saturday.
Brilliant. But Nathan, I don't know why, if it's just because of the timing or whatever, but you forgot to mention about Darwin Núñez. You know.
But that game
we
was
haven't.
Look at you. Look at you.
You got to bring it in because those who missed, the whole Friday, because Friday we didn't have any.
Okay, so Darwin Núñez scored 4 times.
Thank you.
In 20.
All those who have been bashing him. And
but you see, if you know, Darwin Núñez is quality. All those people bashing is just for banter, so you don't have to be worried.
Okay.
He will score his bit. Don't worry. If we are doing so, then Erling Haaland also scored.
Yeah, well, yeah, 1.
It doesn't matter. He has scored his first
1. Okay.
Nathan,
thank you so much.
All right, we're back tomorrow.
All right. Sure. Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.